Did you talk to the former president that day?
I've talked to the former president umpteen times, thousands. I mean not thousands times,
January
but countless times. I talk to the president. I never talk about what we talk about because I just don't think that's appropriate. Just like I don't talk about what happens in Republican conferences. So I've talked to the president numerous times. I continue to talk to the president since he's left office.
On January 6th, Congressman.
Yes, I've talked to the president. I've talked to the president so many. I can't remember all the days I've talked to him, but I've certainly talked to the president.
Did you speak with President Trump on January 6th?
Yeah, I spoke with the president last week. I speak with the president all the time. I spoke with him on January 6th. I talk with President Trump all the time, and that's I don't think that's unusual. I would expect members of Congress to talk with the president of the United States when they're trying to get done the things they told the voters in their district to do. I'm actually kind of amazed sometimes that people keep asking this. But of course, I talk to the president all the time. I talk to him, like I said, I talked with him last week.
On January 6th, did you speak with him before, during, or after the Capitol was attacked?
I'd have to go. I spoke with him that day after. I think after. I don't know if I spoke with him in the morning or not. I just don't know. I'd have to go back and. I don't know that when those conversations happened. But what I know is I spoke with him all the time.
Aside from being a shameless stooge for Trump, Ohio's Jim Jordan is one of the slimiest members of Congress, who does just about nothing to better the lives of the American people and would rather pander to his base to stay in office.
What I don't want is people canceling everyone else. That is the most dangerous thing happening in our country today. Right now, Joe Biden says during his inauguration speech he wants to unify. Well, it's tough to unify when you're impeaching a president who's already left office. It's tough to unify when you're trying to cancel 75 million people who voted for that guy. That is what's tough to do. Who is next? Everyone has said things they wish they didn't say. Everyone has done things they wish they didn't do. So who's next? Who will the cancel culture attack next? This cancel culture will not just come after Republicans. It's going to come after us all. It's going to come after us all. This is what's scary. I said the left and the cancel culture, don't think they won't just go after Republicans and conservatives. They'll come after Democrats, too. That's why what you're doing, standing up for Second Amendment liberties, for freedom, is so darn important. And understand what we're up against. I always say the left has a template. The left has a way they go about business. It's the same playbook all the time. The left will tell a lie. Big media will report the lie. Big tech will amplify the lie. And then when you try to tell the truth, they try to censor you. They call you a racist. They call you fascist. They come after you. The cancel culture mob, the left, the whole thing comes after you. If you're a mom and dad going to a school board meeting, you're called an extremist. If you're pro-life, you're called a radical traditional Catholic.
Jim knows exactly who his audience is and plays into their paranoia about being canceled by the demonic Democrat boogeyman to position himself as a figurehead for freedom and liberty in a move straight out of Trump's playbook, while simultaneously sounding a lot like this guy.
I realize I'm in the crosshairs of the woke mob right now, so before my final nail gets put in my cancel culture casket, I think I'd like to set the record straight on so many of the blatant lies that are out there about myself right now.
And to no one's surprise, Jordan is still fiercely loyal to Trump, even traveling all the way out to Iowa to stump for him ahead of the caucuses.
That is what this is about. Elections are about a contrast and a comparison and about which side you're going to be. I think it's clear President Trump is the right guy for the job because he did such a great job when he was there before. This guy, the thing I love so much about President Trump is this guy hates to lose. Man, and that is we got Coach Gable here. Coach Gable knows a thing or two about not losing. Right? You follow Iowa wrestling.
It's mind-blowing to us that Jordan felt so comfortable talking about college wrestling, but it isn't too surprising given that his base and these Iowa voters probably don't know much or anything about his past.
When you come in and you got a scholarship at The Ohio State University, you don't want to start any problems.
I didn't do nothing, probably because I was scared.
These men, among others, say they were sexually abused by Richard Strauss, a former wrestling team doctor at Ohio State University. Although he was not mentioned or referenced in the video, it led to questions last week about Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan, a former OSU wrestling coach. What did he know? One wrestler told NBC News that he reported alleged abuse to Jordan directly. Several other wrestlers told NBC News that Dr. Strauss's inappropriate behavior was discussed openly among the team, and Jordan had to know about it. Jordan says he had no knowledge of any abuse or complaints from athletes.
I stood up to the Speaker of the House from my home state, stood up to the IRS, and have stood up to the FBI. To think that I would not stand up for my athletes is ridiculous.
So this ref says he told Jordan directly about the alleged sexual misconduct?
Along with the head coach for the wrestlers. He was refereeing a wrestling match, and that is where Jim Jordan was an assistant coach. And after that, the ref went into the public sauna shower, and he saw Dr. Strauss pleasuring himself in front of everybody else right there in front of him. He went to the head coach and the assistant coach, which was Jim Jordan, and said what he just saw in the shower, and the response was, yeah, that's Strauss.
Since these disgusting allegations were brought against Ohio State, the university has paid out close to $60 million in settlements to the victims, while the lawsuit against Jordan and others accused of turning a blind eye to the abuse is ongoing.
Jim Jordan called me crying, groveling on the 4th of July, begging me to go against my brother, begging me, crying for a half hour. That's the kind of cover-ups that's going on there. Jim Jordan called me several times after that. That week, I had to have my lawyer call him, tell him to stop calling me.
Adam DiSabato, the brother of whistleblower Mike DiSabato, testified in 2020 that Jim Jordan begged Adam to protect him instead of his own brother.
He's a coward. He's a coward. He's not a leader. He's a coward. I'm a leader. I was captain of these guys. That's why I'm here. I would never abandon my team. He abandoned us. Our head coach abandoned us. He's flipped his story. He called other people to flip their story. He called Mark Coleman to flip his story. He called his parents, 90 years old. That's the kind of person Jim Jordan is.
We believe very strongly, especially all the wrestlers that were there at the time, that Jim Jordan knew what was going on. He was the head assistant coach of the wrestling program. And Jim, as well as our head coach, Russ Ellickson, and the administration at OSU, definitely turned a blind eye to what was happening. The abuse, not only from the doctor, but everybody involved in the showers and sauna area of Larkins Hall at that time. The doctor was around us in our saunas, in our showers, changing with everyone. You would have to know about what is going on. Everybody knew what was going on there at that point in time. What we have from Congressman Jordan is him engaging a PR or press firm to go out and cover up everything and say he didn't know, and get wrestlers on his side to say he didn't know. So in actuality, Mr. Jordan has tried to discredit survivors, sexual abuse survivors, and what happened at Ohio State.
Former Ohio State wrestler and lawyer for the victims, Rocky Ratliff, lays it out perfectly. While we are still, unfortunately, in the dark about Jordan's role in this scandal, the evidence is stacked against him. And the fact that he dared to dip his toes back into such territory is despicable on its own.